Alright guys, so today I have an attacker tier list for you guys. I already made one for runners and it's ready on the channel, and I'll bring you guys the defender one probably tomorrow or after tomorrow. I want to get the attacker one first because the Kaido counters are here in the attacker category. Of course, I also made the tier list in a way where you can compare grade across all the tier lists. I just do not want to put all the units in one tier list because I don't really see the point in comparing attackers to defenders, especially when the cast of characters is this large just for attackers. And the way I'll talk about it is bad to broken and from right to left, right? So in my opinion, for example, in the good tier, I think Katakuri is the worst one and Pudding is the best one, surprisingly. So, stay tuned to see my thoughts on Pudding. And if you want to keep up, right, with certain units, you don't want to hear my thoughts on every single unit, and you want to hear, for example, my thoughts on Drake, just go to the timestamp, click on OK, and you will see my mouse is pointed towards Sabo, for example, and just skip a bit until my mouse is going over Drake, and then I'll share my thoughts on Drake, for example, right? And hopefully that will allow you guys to keep up. Now, I do want to mention, very simply and very quickly, I'm only putting Roger above Akainu because I think that Kaido is going to be relevant. He's not going to be the most used character in the game, but he's going to be relevant, and that will increase Roger playtime, and I think that will make Roger a bit better. But overall, as a unit, I still think Akainu is better, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So for the units in battle, right, let's go over that. All of them, I think, have skills that are very slow to land and normals that are very hard to hit, and they don't deal much damage anyways, so I don't see any point in using them. Some people like Sanji, I don't think he's good, and some people like this kid, but even though he doesn't get status inflicted, I just don't think he's that good. Okay, so let's move on to the units in OK. And because of some comments last time, I saw that some people like Navy Ace, and the people that talked about him were very polite, and I liked their opinion, so I moved them up to OK. And Nami as well had a time where she got to shine against Blackbeard, but I still don't think she's that good. Akainu can deal some damage, but everything else about him is pretty slow. But he's still a solid unit somehow. He's not the worst. Luffy has an invincibility skill, which is nice, but his damage is pretty low. Robin, I like her tremor skill, and of course I'm biased with Robin, so yeah. Stampede Sabo, actually I like this guy a lot, right? For those that don't know, I think I used the most frags on this unit. I think I used about 600 or 800, and no one else in the game have I used this many frags on. So I love this unit, and he was amazing at some point, and his damage has fallen off a bit, so that's why he's here. And while I think Gear 4 is still a fantastic unit, his skills are easy to dodge. But if you don't dodge them, he can deal a lot of damage. It's pretty cool, especially with his resist stagger that this Akainu has as well. This Zoro, of course, in his treasure area is still pretty solid, and his damage can be pretty high, but overall I don't think he's that good anymore. And I put Chopper a bit higher than him just because Chopper has more range, but for the most part, this Zoro might be better. I also like this Sanji just because he gives an attack buff, right? And we're going to talk about Kaido in the future, but Kaido is a defensive unit, or a unit based on defense, and this Sanji gives attack buffs to teammates. So if you have a Sanji on your team, he gives you an attack buff, you suddenly can deal more damage to Kaido, which I think is pretty cool, and his skill disregards defense. This Jinbei overall is very nice against power users. He deals so much damage to them, but his skills are slow and his normals are slow, so that's what holds him back. This Lucci, okay, so this Lucci, he has a crit, he heals, and he has a skill that disregards defense. But, his damage isn't that high overall, so I'll keep him here. Cavendish, he got a buff with healing from whenever he stuns. I think that buffed him a bit, so I put him above Lucci. This Bullet, my god, he's fantastic, right? That skill where he puts his hand in the air like he don't... Okay, stop. But when he just hits the ground after you charge it, he gives himself more attack, and he heals, and it's insane range, and it's tremor, and it's nice, and I like him, but he's, still hard to use. But overall, still a solid unit, and that's why he's here. Now we have Drake, right? Drake walked so that all these future zones like Jack could run. He has 70% damage reduction when in the mammoth form. He disregards defense, which is again very important, and I expect to see more of those units in the future. He also has fixed damage skill. And overall, he's not the worst unit in the game, but his normals are pretty rough. This Buggy, I like him because if he deals a lot of damage in a certain amount of time or a lot of hits, he gets a trait area, and that can help heal the team and give them buffs, and I like that a lot. I love units that aren't that good but give a support buff, so if you want to move him up, I'm completely okay with that. And Smoke Shigi, I think, was the first unit in the game to increase timing on opponent skills, right? Of course, we have Robin that does that, we have Izo that does that, but I think Smoke Shigi was the first one. Also has more damage to power users. No, sorry, I think it's just Logia, but overall, still a nice unit and can crit and stuff, and I like it. I like this unit. It's not that bad. Alright, now we have the units in good. So the units in good, I think, are the ones that are playable, right? You can use these units up to like 3000 SS, maybe even 3500, 4000 SS, right? They're very solid. You can have fun with them. They're good. The units in okay, maybe not that high, but yeah. Let's talk about Katakuri. So Katakuri, when he got his buff, we made his skills a bit better and faster, I like him more. And still, they're easier to dodge than newer skills, but overall, I still think he's solid, and his damage can be pretty high. This Moria, of course, the one thing holding him back is that if you miss one skill, he goes into a baby rage form, and he's not gonna do anything in that form. He cannot move, so he's easy target. But he gets buffs from allies dying and opponents dying and KOs and stuff, and his damage can be nice, and I like him, but that's a big downfall for him. Koala, the perfect dodge reduces their attack, which can be very annoying, especially now that I expect to see more units that get attack buffs. So that's why I like Koala. I also like that she has a knockback with some range to it. The Sabo skill is pretty cool, but very squishy unit with some possibility to do good, especially against Roger and Odin. Not like good, but like okay, can stand her own ground for a bit. This Virgo I actually really like. He's pretty nice against Akainu and going to be very nice against Logia, but overall as a unit, he's not the worst thing. And so I like him. He's skilled with range. His other one is also solid. So I like this Virgo. It's not really that bad. This Kaido, of course, the 100% attack, 100% defense is still insane. Of course, the downfalls and the amount of knock or whatever setbacks he gets from that is insane, right? Not being able to dodge and stuff, but attack buff, defense buff, 100%. If you're high support, people can't damage you, you one-shot, so still a good unit overall. This Sabo, now, in the previous tier list, I had him ranked very highly, but now, I hate the fact that in his Mera state, you're guaranteed to get a flame if you hit him. Think about it this way, right? If you're fighting an Akainu and he incinerates you, as long as you hit this Sabo, you get a flame instead. So you just remove the incinerate to get the flame, which is pretty bad, right? That's one of the things that made me hate Bonkichi, and we're going to talk about it more with Luffy Law. Now, this Smoker in the last 60 seconds does a lot of damage. He's one skill that sucks them in, can be very nice in displacing units, and also does good damage. The Shigi one is not bad as well. And this Rayleigh, of course, if you're really good with him, you can rank him higher. I'm completely fine with that. But, being a perfect dodge reliant character, the best, he can be very, very nice against Kaido, of course, if you perfect dodge his skills, which isn't the hardest thing to do. So, actually, I think I want to move Rayleigh higher. I'm happy to move him higher. If you're good with perfect dodges, you can put Rayleigh at the top, like above Whitebeard, especially against Kaido. We'll see about that. And I want to see more gameplay. I don't think I've seen this Rayleigh against Kaido, so it would be interesting to see. This Boa, of course, with the tremor and the heals and the moving normals, everything about her is very, very nice, and I like her a lot, and that's why she's here. She's a very, 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 very nice unit, but I never got to use her. Can't wait to use her. This Kuzan is very nice. I love the skill so much where he just starts walking and freezing everyone in that area. I love to see skills like that, and he heals with that, and he has another skill with range, and his normals are okay, and he has good traits, and overall a solid unit. This Kiku, in the last 60 seconds, she instantly gets back both her skills and deals more damage, and very solid unit in the last 60 seconds. Aside from that, not that good, but in the last 60 seconds, gets insane buffs, and I love it. This Whitebeard is very, very nice once he gets going, right? When you get a couple teammates to die, you get a defense buff, and then he's tankier. When you get a couple KOs, he gets an attack buff, and then deals so much damage. He can deal damage to Kaido and stuff, but of course, it's so hard to get him going, right? It's so hard to get the first few KOs, and then you have to wait for teammates to die. But everything else about him is very nice, and maybe in the future he gets a buff, and if that happens, I see him being very good. Like, he has a very, very solid bones for a character, and maybe in the future they'll do another Whitebeard. I know a lot of people are very disappointed with this unit, but I still think he's good. Now, this Dog Storm, I love this Dog Storm, right? Especially now with Kaido coming out, and how you really want attack buffs. Well, this Dog Storm, basically the way he works is that in the first minute and a half, he gets his skill 1 faster, and every time you use your skill 1, you get an attack buff up to 30%. But the beauty is that when you die, you can pass it on to your next unit. So, for example, if you're using Roger and Dogstorm, if you're Dogstorm, you get like 2 hits off, right? You have 20% attack. You come back with Roger, and you instantly get 20%. So your first Kamusari will give you a buff to 40% attack, which is beautiful. Beautiful. Fantastic unit. But, of course, not only for Roger, right? Can be good for any unit, and especially units with no attack buffs, right? Like this Doffy. So, very nice unit. Pudding is the surprise choice, I think, for a lot of people. But honestly, I would be happy to put her up in great. The only reason she's not in great is because I just need to see more play tests and more people getting used to her. But she's so nice. Like the fact that both her skills can tremor or edit, and edit no one can nullify that unless you completely nullify status, is very, very nice. She also moves back when using her skills, which allows her to keep back with range. Her normals deal a lot of damage. She can heal. She has very, very, very solid unit, and I'm very surprised by how little playtime she gets. And hopefully people that have her start using her, because I'd love to see what she can do. She's definitely not going to be great against Kaido, I don't think, but aside from that, she can be very nice. She can deal a lot of damage with her normals, and yeah, we'll see about that. So Luffy Tower, of course, got a lot of hype recently, being very good against Kaido with his skill that disregards defense, and in general, doing 50% damage increase to defenders makes him always good. So he was never bad, but now he's great because Kaido's a thing. And so I really like this unit, disregard defense and invincibility in the same skill, beautiful. Shanks, of course, once he gets going, it's fantastic. But it's hard to get going, and you're not going to reinvent the wheel with him. He's 2 years old. People know how to play against him. People know what you can do. So it's a lot of mind games with him. But if you do get going, get a couple KOs, he's fantastic. What a good unit. So yeah, overall Shanks is still a very, very solid unit, and I like him a lot. Lucci, many attack buffs, beautiful. He can do runner stuff. He knocks back. It can teleport you and deal a lot of damage, surprisingly. And overall, a very, very nice unit. And Drygen recently made a king concept, right? Drygen. So make sure to check that out, because he made a king concept that has the same thing as Lucci, where he goes from Zoan form to another form. And I really wish they do more units like this instead of the just transform to Zoan for one skill. I like those as well, but I'd love to see full Zoan like Lucci the whole time, and that would be cool. Now, and in the same vein of talking about Sabo, when people use Luffy Law, sometimes I'll see them use the anti-heal skill and then the other skill, but the other skill a flame, so it removes the anti-heal, right? So make sure you don't do that. Make sure you move the displacement skill first and then the anti-heal. All right, but I love this unit because the anti-heal is so good, right? It doesn't work on Kaido, but it will work on a lot of units. And the displacement is so good against defenders because you just move them out of their treasure area, and then you have so much damage increase in their treasure area anyway, so his damage can be very high. And, it's still a very solid unit overall today. And Zoro, being crit-based, heals a lot, deals good damage, has range, and, that state. I love characters in a state. I love that so much, so that's why he's here. Chopper... Okay, I underestimated Chopper before because, yeah, he always knew his damage capability is insanely high, but, some games you'll just get one-shot the whole time because in some maps are so open, and this guy isn't that good in those kinds of maps. But in other kinds of maps, he's amazing, and he's very good at dealing with Kaido because he has ignore damage reduction in one skill, and he has ignore a defense in the other. But also, not only is he good against Kaido, but he's really good against Akainu. Of course, he sucks against Roger, but against Akainu, he's still good. Now, he's not terrible against Roger because if you tremor Roger, you can actually deal a lot of damage. But against Akainu, if he incinerates you and you fall on the floor, you get confused. And the beauty about that confused is that it removes the incinerate. So you almost never get incinerated because as soon as you fall, you get confused. It's just so beautiful. And he gets an attack buff with that, and he deals so much damage to Kaido, and it's beautiful. And he heals 40%. So once he gets going in smaller maps where you can 1v1 people, he's amazing. But in maps that are open, sometimes you'll just get one shot from long range skills, right? There's so many of those nowadays, but he doesn't get one shot, so that's cool. And 40% heal is still beautiful with that skill. So overall, I like this Chopper a lot, and I don't have him yet, so it sucks. But hopefully one day I get to pull him. Onila, fantastic unit. Maybe might fall off if we see more and more Kaido, but the anti-heal is still a very, very good thing, and he heals and he deals a lot of damage to green units like Roger, and he's still a good unit. Definitely Akainu put a dent in his reign, and he's not as strong as he used to be at some point, but he's still a very, very strong attacker, and we'll still see play for a very, very long time. I think he's very, very good. Hell, again, like Chopper, and like we'll talk about in a bit, Roger or Izo sucks against Roger, but he gets so many attack buffs. His skill that keeps allowing him to hit and hit and hit also reduces their defense, and also keeps giving him attack buffs, and so he keeps dealing more and more damage with it. The other skill has so much range to it. He heals with that, and he has so many good things going for him, and I really, really like him, and I think he's fantastic. And overall, a great unit. Attack buffs is going to make him good against Kaido, and his damage can be super high, right? Okay, he's squishy, sure, but he's still a fantastic unit, and I love him, and I would love to, I don't think I even have him, and if I do, he's only level 60, so again, another unit I really want. But a unit I do have is Izo, and so I might overhype Izo because, you might think that Chopper or one of these 3 units here is better than him, but I think Izo, I want to make him shine for now, right? I want to put him high because I love him so much. You know, he's like Doffy on steroids with range, but less defensive capability. So he sucks so bad against Roger. Like, if you thought Pell or Chopper was bad against Roger, Aizo's 10 times worse against Roger. It's insane. But if there are no Rogers, and I expect to see more Rogers, he's amazing because he has so much range, and then he crits, and his crits deal much damage, and he can remove these stacks of Akainu, the invincibility stacks, and a very, very good damage, and it's from range, so you're safe, and everything about him is so solid. He can also increase the skill time of opponents and stuff, but the problem, again, is Roger, and I don't see him dealing much damage to Kaido, the same way I don't see Doffy doing damage to Kaido. So we'll talk about that in a bit. And Jack, of course, a very nice surprise. You know, his skill comes in, increases skill time, which is, again, fantastic. Also, the Mammoth form, you know, 70% DR, knockback, heal, just beautiful. Also, Tremors. And then the other skill, like heals, does so many hits, so it gives him attack buffs, and the attack buffs are so good because when you have a lot of attack buffs, you actually deal tons of damage to Kaido himself, and his normals are nice. The range is actually pretty decent on the third hit, and overall, I really like this Jack, and you know, I'm working on him. I do have a lot of frags, but I don't want to frag him yet, just because I want to get him to 80 naturally, so I can save my frags for the future. But I think this unit is fantastic, like beautiful unit, beautiful, and I expect to see some units like him in the future to deal with Kaido. Now we are going on to the broken units. Now we have Doffy. Now Doffy is fantastic against every unit in the game, right? Even against Roger, he can still be annoying to Roger because that shield is just annoying, and he can be amazing against Akainu. He's amazing against Akainu, but he cannot deal damage to Kaido at all. Now, of course, Kaido, if Kaido is the one pushing, he cannot destroy the shield fast enough, but that doesn't matter because Kaido's not the one that should be pushing anyways. But Doffy cannot deal damage to Kaido. If Kaido was going to be so used, I would have buffed or nerfed Doffy down to great. But I'm happy to put him in broken because I just don't see that many Kaidos running around. So that's why he's here. And I don't want to talk about what makes him great, right? Everything. The fact that under 50 he cannot get incinerated or any status effects is just insane, right? Forget the fact that it's good against Akainu and Laws, anti-heal. It's good against every unit, like the Tremor of Chopper, the Tremor of the New Queen, right? It's so good against everyone. His damage is insane. He's hiding behind his shield. His skills are fast. And the Confused can be, two sword. Okay, whatever. I don't know how to say that, but it's good sometimes, right? It's bad sometimes because you remove a better effect on the opponent, but he's just such a good unit. He heals like crazy. It's a fantastic unit. Now we have Akainu and Roger. Of course, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think Roger is worse than Akainu, but in this meta, I think we'll see more Roger because Kaido is a thing, right? I don't expect to see so much Kaido that the whole meta revolves around Kaido, but I feel like it's going to be more balanced now, right? Where we see a lot of Roger, a lot of Akainu, and some Kaido to keep them all in check and make sure there's all the EXs being used, kind of thing, right? So we'll still see Yamato, but we'll also see more Odins, so kind of thing, right? I think Kaido is a very solid thing that comes out of it. I still don't see people complaining too much about the toxicity of Kaido. He can be very, very toxic if you're not using a unit that counters him, so just wait and see. But yeah, Akainu of course great because incinerate, attack buffs, damage increase, invincibility, 3 hits for free, skills are very good, and he has an invincibility skill as well, right? And then we're gonna move on to Roger, right? Roger has nullify status effect or resist stagger, sorry, and his other skill he resists nullify status and stuff, and he deals more damage the more damage you deal to him, and he takes damage reduction, and his commissary gives him attack buffs, and his attack's already insane and comes out super fast, and then he heals if you're dealing some damage to him. Overall, what a good unit. Both of these two are so broken, and if you use them, I'm sure it doesn't matter which one you use because you'll have a lot of success. And overall, I hope this helped you guys. I'm so tired. I'm talking so much. And yeah, this was the tier list. Bad units, don't use them. I don't think you can find any success with them. The okay units, you might be able to, even in SS, the lower SS. Good units, you can find success up to like 4,000 SS. Great units you can climb with. They're really, really good. And broken units are, just the best units in the game at the moment. And, look forward to my Defender tier list coming tomorrow, after tomorrow. And yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this helped. And shout out to Yo, right? He keeps the tier list always up to date, and he doesn't do the tier list, right? Like I place the units, but what he does is he keeps the tier maker website updated. So like, for example, when Jack came out, Jack was on the tier list, so I could just place Jack wherever I wanted, right? When Aizo came out, same thing. Now with Kaido's release, same thing. And so shout out to Yo for keeping it updated. Like honestly, like it saved me so much time, because before I used to actually have to save the art and then put them all in here, and then every time I want to do a tier list I have to add the new unit. But Yo does it, and shout out to him. If you want to make your own tier list, make sure to go to the website. It will be linked, and it's Yo who keeps it updated, so shout out to him. And again, hopefully this helped. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Peace.